We're back out here at the Big Lake once again, and today we're talking about what to do when you see those bass busting on bait and you just can't get them to bite. Stick around, you don't want to miss this one.
Okay, I got him. That feels pretty okay. He took it pretty good. Come on now. Yep, that feels pretty okay. Whoa, where you going, buddy? Whoa.
And here is this video's featured comment. Congratulations! If you would like to have a chance to have your comment featured in an upcoming video, all you've got to do is leave a comment. And now, on with the video. Welcome back to lowbrow fishing. And one of the biggest frustrations, one of the biggest headaches for any angler is to see bass busting on bait all around you. Whether it's bluegill, whether it's shad, whether it's shiner, it does not matter. Seeing those bass being active and feeding and busting up on bait all around you, whether you're on the boat, whether you're from the bank, and you not being able to get a bite is extremely frustrating. It's something we all have to go through. I go through it, more times than I want to count. So if you feel like it's something that only you have to deal with, don't sweat it. It's something we all have to deal with. But as anglers, we can improve that. We can start turning those busting bass into bites. And I'm going to share with you some of the process that I use whenever I see busting bass. Today I saw 3 bass busting, and I ended up catching all 3 of those bass. I did it on different presentations to be sure, but that's kind of the point of what I want to talk about today. So we're going to get into it from most common to least common, my hidden juice about how we're going to turn those busting bass into fish that you've landed, and you're taking pictures with. So, the first thing, the most obvious thing that people are going to grab is something like this. This is a one knocker spook. Some type of topwater along these lines, a spook, a whopper plopper, a buzz bait, a frog. But a spook is going to be the most common thing, the number one thing, the top tier thing that anglers are going to grab whenever they see those bass busting up. And there's nothing wrong with the spook. It's a great presentation. Even if those bass aren't busting, you're just fishing topwater, this is going to be a reliable fish catching machine under many situations. So it's not a bad thing to have. It's not a bad thing to tie on. You see bass busting up, a spook is a great way to go, but it's not great for all situations. And we're going to get into that. Another thing that a lot of anglers tie on is something like this. This is just a regular, popper. And a popper, again, this is going to be the most famous popper. This is going to be the most widely used popper. Everybody has a popper. Everybody uses a popper. The color may change, but everybody's got their favorite popper, right? And again, this is an amazing presentation. It's a different variation. It's a little bit more slow, but you get that chug, you get that bloop, right? And that's what you want to have whenever you see bass busting on the bait. You maybe want to impersonate or imitate a shad or something thrashing around on the surface. And again, it can be very effective, but a lot of times it's not. And again, we'll get into that. But my favorite bait to throw as far as topwater goes whenever I see busting bass is this guy. And you guys have seen me throw this a lot this year. This is a Boy Howdy from Cotton Cordell. And this is very old school. It's a type of prop bait. Now, they make the ones that have a tail weight on them, and I like those nearly as much as I do these for when I see bass busting up. And if you fish a prop style bait like a devil's horse or anything like that, or a spin rocket, this is going to be right in your wheelhouse. It's an amazing bait. When I see those bass busting up, this is more than likely what I'm going to be throwing. I've got this, I've got a bone colored one, I've got a black one. But I like this gold one. This is the one that's been most productive for me. And the special thing about this very bait is my wife's very first topwater bass was caught on this exact bait, and it was caught when those bass were busted.
A lot of times they're just keyed in on those fish. what it seems like, right? Yep. He missed it. Go after it. That was a good one too. Go after it. They're out here. There you go. There you go. Set the hook. Set the hook. You got him. You got him. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a real good one, honey. That's a real good one. Let me get over here. He's gonna pull us around. That's a real good fish.
Oh. Oh my goodness. I got him from the...
You foul hooked him,
Yeah.
but that's okay. Bring him to me.
Okay, baby. Sorry.
You're okay.
Yeah.
Just swing the rod around.
I'm trying. I can't even crank it anymore.
Mama's first topwater fish.
That was excellent.
Mama's first topwater fish. This was the guy.
That was excellent.
This was the guy who was just busting up on the fish.
So that was an extremely fun video for us. That was an extremely fun time to watch her catch her very first topwater bass. And again, they were busting up. So topwater is going to be a proven successful bait whenever those bass are busting up. But a lot of times it's not going to be the answer. And the reason for that is when those bass are busting up on that bait, they're not necessarily inhaling them or swallowing them or eating them. They're running into them. They're slamming into them, and they're causing those shad to, I guess, be concussed. But they start to spasm and they start to thrash, but more importantly, they start to float down. So the bass aren't really interested in what's happening on the surface. They're watching the shad and the shiner and everything that they've smacked into. They're watching them spasm and flutter down. So what's going to be a great bait for that? Well, at this point, I probably sound like a broken record, but I'm going with a jerk bait. This is going to be the very first thing. If I see bass busting out, even more than topwater, when I see bass busting, this is going to be what I'm grabbing. And this right here, this is a Yo-Zuri. This is a Yo-Zuri 3DB 110 SP. It's a great jerkbait. I like these things. They have caught me lots and lots of fish. And again, as far as jerkbaits go, these things are pretty cheap. They run you about $8. But this right here, the way it moves in the water, the way it wiggles in the water, the way it flicks and darts, very much impersonates and imitates a shad that is in distress, that is dying. So that's why I use them in that situation. And I'm telling you what, it's the first bait that I used today whenever I saw shad busting, and it was just amazing. As a matter of fact, the last couple of times I've been out and I've seen bass busting, I've thrown the old Yo-Zuri jerkbait, and I've been able to pick them off, and it was really, really cool, and it was a lot of fun.
Just jumping in that area. I gotta get in that. I gotta get in that. I gotta get in that with this old jerkbait. Cast beyond it. Wind down. There we go. I got him. I'm bringing the boat to me. He doesn't feel... I knew he wasn't very big, but still. Little 1 pound bass. Appreciate that, dude. Appreciate you. Alright, another little 1 pound bass. Let's see if we can get right back out there and get his big brother.
Okay, so Maybe you don't want to throw the jerkbait. Maybe you don't want to throw that. However, I got something else for you that works just as well in a lot of situations, especially on a pressured body of water, and that's this guy. This is a soft plastic jerkbait, a fluke style bait, and I've got it rigged Texas style, weightless, because I want it to have that flutter, that slow flutter on the fall. I want it to look like a dying bait fish, something that's been injured and just fluttering down. When I see those bass busting, regardless of what rod I have in my hand, unless it's the hard jerkbait, I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to fire it in there, right? And you can watch as those bass will roil and broil on this, and boom, you get an awesome hook set. And it's really easy. You'll notice it very, very quickly. If those bass are there and they're interested, you're going to get hit almost immediately. That's the good thing about seeing those bass bust up, because again, they're very active. And for me, well, a larger soft plastic jerkbait, in this case, it's one of these. It's a Gander Mountain. They don't even make these anymore. In fact, I don't even think Gander Mountain's in business anymore. But I've got a few bags of these. You know, that's what this is, and it works great. But you can use your Zoom. You can use a caffeine shad. That's also excellent. I like these because they tend to be a little bit longer, and they've got a little bit nicer glide on them. So that's whenever I'm fishing busting shad, something like this is what works better for me. Now, I said I was going to give you the juice, and I am going to give you the juice. I've got one more special for you. One more hidden sweet bait that I use, and that is one of these. A flutter spoon, right? This is a 4-inch flutter spoon, but this is not just any flutter spoon. When I reveal this to you, you are going to laugh at me. You're going to point at your screen and you're going to laugh at me. But I'm telling you, this thing is money. And when I reveal it to you, I'm going to show you why. And what is it? It's this. It's a gimmick. It is a Oxborough Gimmick NFL spoon. Arizona Cardinals. Now, if you look at it, you may be able to see why this thing works so successfully. And that is, obviously, it's got the chrome on this side. But on this side, it's got that white helmet and that red cardinal head. Those actually attract the bass way better than you think. I had a few of these. I had a Dallas Cowboys one, which I thought would be money. They didn't care for it. I had a Jacksonville Jaguars one. I thought that would be money. They didn't care for it. But this one right here, if I see bass that are busting up on bait, a flutter spoon is going to be a great option as it is. It's going to be an amazing option, again, because it's got that fluttering, dying motion that you're looking for. And those are the types of baits that you're going to want to throw. But this goofy thing right here, I'm telling you what, they seem to tear this thing up when I throw it in there. And like I said, I guess it's because of that white helmet and that red bird. Gives them something to key off on. It stands out. We've got the flash on one side, and then we've got this on the other side. It gives them something to key off on. And bass really like that. It gives them something to target. So, again, see those bass busting up? Try a flutter spoon. Try throwing one of those in there and watch what happens. I guarantee not only will you get a lot of bites out of it, but you will get some substantially big bites, and it will be a lot of fun. You will have more fun than you ever had trying to fish those busting bass. So there you have it. Those are some of my secrets. Those are some of the baits and tricks that I use whenever I see bass busting up. It used to be a constant source of headache for me where I would see those bass busting up and I couldn't buy a bite. But now, whether it's a jerkbait or a fluke or something along those lines, or even that goofy spoon, I more often than not can turn those busting bass into bass in the boat. And with a little bit of practice and a little bit of adjusting technique, you can find what works for you, and you can start turning those busting bass into bass in the boat. Thanks for watching Lowbrow Fishing. We'll catch you in the next one.